I've got Jeremy Martin, an esteemed member of our professional advisory board, with me today. Jeremy, I want to talk to you about starting back. You know, we've got a lot of guys this time of year want to start back. A lot of guys, were great athletes in college, high school, and even in their early 20s and 30s. You know, they may have been away from it for a little while, even if it's just for a few months.
Right.
They want to dive back in, and of course, we all want to, and I'm the worst for doing it myself. Dive back in there, and I still think I can, load up 400 or 500 pounds on a squat bar and squat. And of course, I always end up paying the price for it. What do you recommend? How do you working with your athletes at the University of British Columbia, what do you recommend for an athlete like that is deconditioned, maybe has been off for a while, and bring them back in? Do you throw them right into a program right away, or what do you do?
We put them on a program, but what we do is, and it's very common in strength and conditioning world and in strength sports as well, is something called general physical preparation, or GPP for short. And before you train someone as intensely for their sport as you would maybe in the preseason, you do stuff that's going to prepare them more generally for that training. Some people would say you'd be training them to train.
Okay.
All you're doing is then preparing your muscles and tissues to undergo the heavier, harder, and maybe longer training that you're going to do.
So what would that look like for a guy like me, Jeremy, that wants to get back and I want to squat again? I want to get back to my usual training weights of squatting, but of course my body can't handle that right now.
Yeah.
How would you start that out, and for what duration, generally speaking?
So we, depending on how long it's been since you've squatted heavy, we would put you under maybe 1 to 4 weeks of a general physical preparation phase. And it would look somewhat similar to what some would say bodybuilding style training, because what we're trying to build is your muscle's capacity for strength, which means that we're going to build the size of the muscle, but we're also going to put it under load for a decently long period of time so that the connective tissue around the muscle can withstand that as well. So you might be doing something like 2 sets of 10 to 12 in your first week on squats. And then we're going to dwindle you down until you're doing the next week, maybe 3 sets of 10, and then 3 to 4 sets of 8. And then maybe your final week is 5 sets of 5. And by that point, the intensity has maybe gone up a little bit, or the weight that you're using, and you're starting to build your work capacity so you can push more weight for a longer period, recover faster, and you're ready to start lifting heavy and maybe start hitting those triples or those singles or doubles and those heavier weights.
Okay, now for an average guy that just is a bodybuilding type guy,
Yep.
when you talk and maybe not interested in going to those heavy, singles and doubles,
Yep.
when you jump in and you're starting, like you talk, a bodybuilding style of training, typically I would go to failure on a set of 10 or 12. Are you saying you don't go that hard, or what are you looking for? Are you looking just for motion, range of motion, flexibility?
Yeah.
What are you looking for?
So that's the other thing is making sure that you're moving well under load. And so that might mean that your first few weeks has more mobility work than normal. You might be doing some sort of assisted squats. You might be squatting against some bands. Maybe they're around your hips or around your knees, so you're pushing out against them. You're clearing space. Maybe you're doing squats with the kettlebells against your chest so that you work on staying taller and fighting those forces that are pulling you down in the squat. And then as far as going to failure, I wouldn't push someone to failure in that first week at least. I'd probably have them hit those 10 to 12 reps and feel like they still have 1 or 2 at least left in the tank. And then after that, you start to add those pluses. You make it a 10 plus set. So if you feel like you can keep going after 10, then maybe you do. But the failure stuff happens after that general preparation phase, when you know that you can reach failure but still look okay in those movements.
And of course, how hard you go and how much you use is entirely dependent upon your fitness level and
Exactly.
how long it's been since you trained, and your general health, of course. So you have to, would you agree, you have to gauge that? Every individual has to gauge it at their own, but the objective, I guess, is in that initial phase is you're not interested in burning fat, getting strong, or building muscle at that point. You're just preparing your body for that 4-week period, just so that you can train to get stronger, to get more muscle, to burn fat. Is that correct?
Exactly. And it might seem boring in the outset, but in the long run, it's going to pay off in dividends. And I tell that to all of my new clients that I start with. The general stuff seems boring. It might seem repetitive at first, but it means that they're not going to jump into a program that destroys them right off the bat, and they never see the gym again because they couldn't deal with the soreness or just the pain that the workouts put them through.
That's exactly what I've been doing personally for the last, I'm in my second week now, and I'm feeling like I could I'll probably go another week with it at least.
Right.
But I can feel in my body. I know that, I'm getting stronger. I'm getting more actually coordination. You see a difference in coordination,
Right.
Speed in the boxing and stuff like that. But I've got a ways to go before I can put myself into a full workout without having soreness problems and joint problems. So thank you very much, Jeremy. Very insightful as always, my friend. And we'll take that to heart. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you again soon.
You too.